Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, August 29th. Another very hot and humid day here in the Mid-Atlantic region. Some of the urban areas in the I-95 corridor could reach the middle 90s this afternoon with plenty of sunshine and high humidity levels as well. The heat indices up around 100 degrees in much of the I-95 corridor. But relief is on the way. A cool front will approach the region later tomorrow, raising the threat for afternoon and evening showers and thunderstorms, and it'll certainly turn cooler by the time Friday afternoon rolls around. In fact, as high pressure sets up to the north of here across southeastern Canada and the northeastern U.S., an easterly flow of air should develop here in the I-95 corridor by Friday afternoon and perhaps even into the early part of the weekend. High temperatures later Friday could be confined to the 70s in much of the I-95 corridor as compared with the middle 90s expected later today. That front only grudgingly passes to the south and east of the region, and it looks like it'll basically meander around this upcoming holiday weekend and cause some unsettled weather conditions both Saturday and Sunday, perhaps even into Monday as well. Plenty of clouds around this weekend and the threat for an occasional shower or a thunderstorm given the proximity of that stalled out, weakening cool frontal system. Well, before we get more focused on the local weather situation, let's take a look at the tropics. We turn to September this weekend, and it looks like as soon as we flip the calendar to September, the switch will turn on for tropical activity to light up in the Atlantic Basin. It's been relatively quiet throughout the month of August, but there are 2 or even 3 areas of interest to follow right now. And there's a possibility that we'll have a tropical storm by the time Sunday or Monday rolls around at the end of the Labor Day weekend in the area of Florida or the Gulf of Mexico. So we'll obviously monitor that possibility over the next few days. And it looks like there may be a burst of activity during the first and second week of September following the quiet period we've experienced over the past several weeks. First of all, area number 1 to watch. This area right in here has a lot of moisture available with it. We'll see the water vapor imagery in a moment here. Area number 2 of interest right here over the tropical Atlantic and just off the west coast of Africa, a third area of interest. All of these moving slowly to the west in the trade winds, and again, all 3 have to be monitored as we get into the climatological peak of the Atlantic Basin tropical season, which is around the middle part of September. So it's not at all unusual for activity to ramp up as we end August and go into September. The reason for that, the main reason for that, is the sea surface temperatures tend to reach a peak around the middle part of September in the Atlantic Basin. Well, here's a map from the University of Wisconsin website. The total precipitable water. It's kind of another way of looking at water vapor, all the humidity in the air, and oranges and yellows on here represent very moist air masses. And again, we have that wave right in this region right now near the islands that has a lot of moisture associated with it. That is a reason this bears watching. A lot of moisture flowing off the west coast of Africa into the central part of the tropical Atlantic. And again, a couple of waves we just saw on the cloud imagery a moment ago bear watching in this region right here, especially this area of interest right here off the west coast. Look at all that moisture associated with that particular cloud band that we saw a moment ago. So 3 different areas to watch over the next couple of days. And again, there is a possibility of a tropical storm near Florida or the Gulf of Mexico, right in this region right here by the time Sunday or Monday, Labor Day Monday, rolls around. And we'll look at the upper air pattern, which favors the possibility of something in this region right here over the next several days. Well, let's take a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly forecast maps from last night's ensemble run of the GFS. This is the average for the next 5 days, the current 5-day time period, and then we'll look at days 6 to 10. We've often mentioned here that whenever there's higher heights than normal or high pressure centered over New England or southeastern Canada this time of the year, you have to watch out in the southwestern part of the Atlantic Ocean because winds flow clockwise around high pressure ridges, and that would push any kind of a tropical system from the east to the west, perhaps towards Florida, the southeastern U.S., or even into the Gulf of Mexico. And indeed, that is the pattern that is setting up right now. It doesn't necessarily cause tropical systems to form down in the southwestern Atlantic, but high pressure ridging over the northeast, southeastern Canada can certainly help push tropical systems that do form down in that part of the tropical Atlantic towards the southeastern U.S. Gulf of Mexico. And let's now jump out to days 6 to 10 and just look at this dominant pattern here of high pressure ridging to the north, centered over southeastern Canada. This is again days 6 to 10 as we get into that first week of September. And as we just saw, there are waves to follow here, and they certainly can push from the east to the west with this kind of an upper level pattern. So again, it looks like maybe a burst of activity in the Atlantic Basin during the first and perhaps second week of September, and with high pressure ridging setting up to the north here across southeastern Canada, any system could move from east to west towards Florida into the Gulf of Mexico. And once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, it could intensify. So we'll have to monitor those possibilities over the next several days. Well, let's now focus in on this cool frontal passage here in the Mid-Atlantic region. We'll look at the surface forecast maps from the 6Z GFS model run. Basically rain-free conditions here in the Mid-Atlantic region today. Hot, humid, 95 for a high in many of the urban areas here. Now let's move forward here as we go through the day. Again, rain-free conditions, but some showers showing up in green here along that cool frontal boundary zone that starts to form here. Now we get into tomorrow afternoon. First of all, notice high pressure over the Great Lakes. That high continues to move and build towards the east here into southeastern Canada. And as we said a moment ago, winds flow clockwise around high pressure systems. So once it gets positioned up here, we'll have an easterly flow around here by the time Friday afternoon rolls around. Easterly flow this time of the year certainly makes it cooler than a southwesterly flow, for example. So we have relief on the way, thanks in large part to that high pressure building to the north. So some showers and thunderstorms can develop tomorrow afternoon along with that cool frontal arrival, and that threat will continue into tomorrow night, into the overnight hours. Look at that strong high to the north here in southeastern Canada by the time Friday morning rolls around. And again, we have high pressure up here and an easterly flow likely to develop here along the Jersey coast all the way back into Philadelphia, even down to D.C. That could keep high temperatures on Friday afternoon in the 70s as compared to the middle 90s for this afternoon. Let's keep moving forward here. That cool frontal boundary zone just basically stalls out. That has been a typical pattern all summer long, leading to a wet summer here in the I-95 corridor. Here we are Friday night into Saturday. Some scattered showers, maybe even a thunderstorm on Saturday and into the day on Sunday as well. Neither day this weekend looks like a total washout, but it'll be unsettled with the remains of that frontal boundary system in close proximity, not only Friday but Saturday and Sunday, perhaps even Monday as well. So that's it for now. Hot and humid today, and watch out for a burst of activity in the Atlantic Basin tropical areas. Again, it could affect Florida, the Gulf of Mexico as soon as Sunday or Monday of next week. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.